Hello students, how are you all? I hope all of you are doing really great. So in today's class, we are going to study the chapter The Accidental Tourist, written by Bill Bryson. In this chapter, we will see how the tourist, Bill Bryson, he used to do some kind of accidents while he used to travel. We will also see that he is not a very organized person. He's very clumsy and he just messes things whenever he goes to do something. So, let's see. They say that the world today is a small place because travel has become easy. But not everybody finds it easy to travel. Here, the author reflects humorously his experiences as a traveler. So, I told you that the author, Bill Bryson, he is going to narrate his experiences as a traveler, and that too humorously. You're going to find it funny. Okay, you're going to enjoy it, and also you're going to laugh at your experiences. World today is a small place. People say the world is getting smaller. So it doesn't mean that it's getting smaller in size. Rather, we say that it is getting smaller because it has become very easy to communicate with people living in some other part of the country. We can easily travel from one place to another, right? But not everybody finds it easy to travel. It is not everybody's cup of tea to travel easily. Some people find it really difficult, just like our author. So we will see how he travels and what are the problems that he faces while he is traveling. So let's begin the chapter. Of all the things I'm not very good at, living in the real world is perhaps the most outstanding. So the author is saying that there are many things that I'm not very good at. But the most outstanding thing in which he is not very good at is living in the real world. So you know that when we live in the real world, we do different kind of tasks. Sometimes we do multitasking. Okay? At one point of time, we can do 2 or 3 tasks. But for the author, it is really difficult to carry on tasks easily. I'm constantly filled with wonder at the number of things that other people do without any evident difficulty that are pretty much beyond me. The author is filled with wonder that how some people can do some work with so much of ease without any evident difficulty. But it is very difficult for the author to do it. It is pretty much beyond him, beyond his capacity to do it. But other people do it without any difficulty. So this things just confuses him, puts him at wonder that how people can do it. I cannot tell you the number of times that I have gone looking for the lavatory in a cinema, for instance, and ended up standing in an alley on the wrong side of a self-locking door. So the author is saying that he cannot tell you the number, means he cannot recall how many times he has gone looking for the lavatory. Lavatory is washroom, okay? So he went for the washroom in a cinema hall and he ended up standing in an alley on the wrong side of a self-locking door, which means he was out of the cinema hall. And from there, he cannot come in. Why? Because it was a self-locking door. You really can't come in from a self-locking door. You can only come out of it. And you have no control. You cannot actually open it to get inside. So every time he went for looking for a washroom, he used to come out of the cinema hall and could not go in again. It's really funny, isn't it? And what is the meaning of alley, students? Alley is a narrow passageway between or behind buildings. Okay, as you can see in the picture, between 2 buildings there is an alley. a narrow passageway. My particular specialty now is returning to hotel desks 2 or 3 times a day and asking what my room number is. I am, in short, easily confused. So the author is now saying that his particular specialty now is returning to the hotel desk, to the reception again and again at a hotel, and asking that what my room number is, in which room do I stay. So his memory is not very strong, maybe. He's easily confused that in which room is he living. So he used to visit to the receptionist and ask that, can you please tell in which room am I staying? What's my room number? So he's saying that my personality is of a confused person. I easily get confused. I was thinking about this the last time we went in family on a big trip. It was at Easter and we were flying to England for a week. So he's thinking about this. What is he thinking about? That he went in family. It's a French word. Okay, means with family. On a big trip. He went on a big trip. And it was during Easter. Okay. And they were flying to England for a week. And family means with one's family. When we arrived at Logan Airport in Boston and were checking in, I suddenly remember that I had recently joined British Airways frequent flyer program. So when he arrived at Logan Airport in Boston, when they were going to England, they arrived to Logan Airport and they were about to check in. He suddenly remembered that he had joined British Airways frequent flyer program. Frequent flyer program is like when you travel from the same airways or same airline again and again, you become a member of it, and with which you get some kind of benefits. You can get discounts or additional benefits. So he remembered that he has joined British Airways frequent flyer program. I also remembered that I had put the card in the carry-on bag that was hanging around my neck. And here's where the trouble started. So he also remembered that he had put the card. Which card is he talking about? The frequent flyer program card. Okay. He has kept this card into his carry-on bag, which he was hanging around his neck. And at this point, the problem has begun. The trouble started. So you can see that there's a carry-on bag around his neck. The zip on the bag was jammed. So I pulled on it and yanked at it with grunts and frowns and increasing consternation. So what happened? The zip on the bag was jammed. Means it was not easily opening. Okay. So he started to pull on it and yank at it with grunts and frowns and increasing consternation. Consternation is frustration. Okay, he was in a hurry, he wanted to get the card out of the bag, and generally it happens, when you're in a hurry, all the things will go in a wrong way. It will not happen according to your will. So when he was in a hurry, he wanted to take out the flyer program card, his zip of the bag was jammed. Yanked at it means he pulled with a jerk. So when something is not opening, you try to put your force into it. You try to pull it with a jerk. Consternation. Consternation is a feeling of anxiety, frustration. Grunts. Grunts means to make a low, rough sound. So, which means that when you're trying to put your force into something, it automatically happens that you make certain kind of sounds. So this is being referred to as grunts here. Okay, let's see what happened next. I kept this up for some minutes, but it did not budge. So I pulled harder and harder with more grunts. So he kept trying to take to open the bag, but it would not budge. It would not move. So he tried to pull harder and harder with more force, with more sounds and grunts and everything. Well, you can guess what happened. Abruptly, the zip gave way. The side of the bag flew open and everything within. Okay, so you can see the meaning of abruptly is suddenly and unexpectedly. So, unexpectedly, what happened? The zip gave way. The zip opened. Okay, and the side of the bag flew open and everything within. And what were the things within it? Newspaper cuttings and other loose papers, a 14-ounce tin of pipe tobacco, magazines, passport, English money, film was extravagantly ejected over an area about the size of a tennis court. So what happened? The zip of the bag gave way and the bag opened suddenly and everything which was within it started to fall down. Newspaper cuttings, loose papers, tin of pipe tobacco, magazine, passports, so everything which was inside the bag has come out, has fallen out, okay, over an area about the size of a tennis court, which means about on a large area basically. Extravagantly means elaborately. Ejected means removed, okay. So you can see how everything from the bag is falling out. It's coming out and it's falling on the ground. Basically, he has created a mess in the airport. I watched dumbstruck as 100 carefully sorted documents came raining down in a fluttery cascade. Dumbstruck means he was so shocked or surprised as to be unable to speak. Fluttery means resembling flapping of wings by birds. So he was watching dumbstruck. He was shocked. He did not know how to react or what to do about it. A lot of carefully sorted documents, they were raining down in a fluttery cascade. Cascade is a small waterfall which is basically coming down step by step. I mean, on a rocky stones, you have seen that waterfalls. That is called as cascade. Coins bounce to a variety of noisy oblivions, and the now lidless tin of tobacco rolled crazily across the concourse, disgorging its contents as it went. The coins were bouncing here and there, they were making some noise. You know, when a coin falls, it makes some kind of noise. The coins were falling, it were making noises, and the tin of tobacco, which was actually a lid tin of tobacco, but now it has become lidless. The lid has come out. The tobacco tin was rolling crazily across the concourse and disgorging. Means to discharge, discharging everything in its contents. So concourse means the open central area in a large public building. And in this case, we're talking about the airport. Disgorging, I told you, discharging. My tobacco! I cried in horror, thinking what I would have to pay for that much tobacco in England. Now that another budget had come and gone, and then changed the cry to, my finger, my finger, as I discovered that I had gashed my finger on the zip and was shedding blood in a lavish manner. I'm not very good around flowing blood generally, but when it's my own, well, I think his tricks are fully justified. So earlier he started to cry that, oh, my tobacco. He realized that he has lost a good amount of tobacco at the airport. And he has to pay a good amount, a very big amount for that much amount of tobacco in England. So his mind has calculated how much extra will he have to pay for that tobacco in England. He has realized that another budget, unexpected budget, has come and gone. And after he had completed his crying of my tobacco, he changed his crying to my finger, because he discovered that he had gashed his finger on the zip. Gashed means to make a long, deep cut. He had cut his finger, and out of that was coming blood. Okay, the finger was shedding blood. And he's saying that I'm not very good around flowing blood. But when it's my own, his tricks are fully justified. So, from these incidents, students, you can guess that how unorganized of a person he was. Okay, he was really clumsy. He did things which was not expected. Okay, he's a matured man. We expect them to behave in a very well manner, in an organized manner. But no, he was quite opposite of organized. Confused and unable to help, my hair went into panic mode. It was at this point that my wife looked at me with an expression of wonder, not anger or exasperation, but just simple wonder, and said, I can't believe you do this for a living. So, after he was so much confused and he was not able to help himself, his hair went into panic mode. Okay, his hair was all here and there, like he has just experienced a shock. So at this point, his wife looked at him with an expression of wonder. She is like in disbelief, and she was not angry, she was not irritated. Exasperation means irritation. But she was just in simple wonder. She was in disbelief. That how can a person do this for a living? How can be a person so confused to do such things at the airport? She was like really in wonder. But I'm afraid it is so. I always have catastrophes when I travel. Once on an aeroplane, I leaned over to tie a shoelace. Just at the moment, someone in the seat ahead of me threw his seat back in full recline and found myself pinned helplessly in the crash position. So you can imagine that what happened. He's saying that I'm afraid to say, but I'm really clumsy. I'm really a disaster when it comes to traveling. Okay, he always creates some or the other kind of disaster, and he can't help it. Though he tries to, to stop these disasters, but he can't help it. Once on an aeroplane, so he's telling us an incident that happened. Once he was traveling on an aeroplane, and he just leaned over. Okay, he got down to do what? To tie his shoelace. And just at that very moment, someone who was sitting in front of his seat, okay, he threw his seat back into full recline. So if the seat is like this, the back of the seat, the person who was sitting in the seat threw the back, okay, the back of the seat into full recline like this. And the person, okay, means author who was sitting in his own seat, who has just gotten down, leaned down to try his shoelaces, he found himself pinned helplessly in the crash position. So he had basically crashed. Okay, he was pinned down by someone who was sitting in front of his seat. So you can see in this picture, okay, one person is trying to lean back into full recline, and he's tying his shoelace. And in this way, he was into a crash position. It was only by clawing the leg of the man sitting next to me that I managed to get myself freed. So, how did he free himself? He managed to free himself by clawing means grasping. Grasping whose leg? The leg of the man who was sitting next to him. And he somehow tried and succeeded in getting himself freed from that crash position. So these incidents are telling us that he's not a successful tourist. He's a clumsy tourist. He's an accidental tourist. On another occasion, I knocked a soft drink into the lap of a sweet little lady sitting beside me. So what he did, he knocked a soft drink onto the lap, okay, onto the lap of a sweet little lady who was just sitting beside him. So he is not able to control himself, and he is not able to behave in a disciplined way. He's always messy. He's just doing disasters. So you can see in the picture that how he has spread all over the soft drink all over the lap of the lady. The flight attendant came and cleaned her up and brought me a replacement drink. And instantly I knocked it onto the woman again. So not once but twice. So once when the drink was all over the woman's lap, the flight attendant, the air hostess, gave him a new drink, a replacement drink for him to drink. But no, what did he do? He knocked it again onto the woman. So, like, this is really crazy. How can someone do it again and again? To this day, I don't know how I did it. I just remember reaching out for the new drink and watching helplessly as my arm, like some cheap prop in one of those 1950s horror movies, with a name like The Undead Limb, violently swept the drink from its perch onto her lap. So the author is also saying, I don't know how that happened. I don't know how I did it. I myself don't know how I did it. Okay, all he remembers is that he was reaching out for the new drink. He spread his hands out to take the new drink and he washed his arm helplessly as if his arms are out of his control. He is not commanding his arm to do something. Okay, I know what my arm is doing. You know what your arm is doing because they are under your control. But the author is saying that no, my arm was not under my control. It was like some cheap prop in the horror movies in 1950s. So he's comparing his hand to the prop in horror movies. Because what happens? They are not in someone's control. They just move according to their wish. So he's also saying that my arm were not in my control. They were like some horror movie. It acted on its own way. I was about to take the drink, but my arm did not listen to me. It just took the drink from its place and has knocked it onto the woman's lap. So he's saying that I don't know how that happened. My arm was not under my control. It was like some horror movie, a scene in a horror movie, where you don't know what's going to happen next. So this is really funny, isn't it? Prop is generally a portable object which is used on the set of a play or a movie to make plays more realistic. Okay? They are part of a play. They are portable objects. So when you see a drama or a movie, there is a joker, and joker is using a cap or a stick. So that can become a prop for the joker. The lady looked at me with the stupefied expression you would expect to receive from someone whom you have repeatedly drenched. The lady was really angry. I mean, anyone would be, right? If someone is okay, first time we can excuse the person because we can think, okay, it was a mistake, and mistake can happen from anyone. So you can excuse the person. But no, it did not happen once. It happened twice and repeatedly, instantly. Drenched is to get wet. Okay. So she gave a very angry expression to the man. Stupefied means astonished and shocked. She was also shocked that how can a person do the same thing, same mistake again and again, and uttered an oath that started with oh and finished with sake, and in between had some words that I have never heard uttered in public before. Certainly not by a nun. So, the author is trying to say that the woman was abusing him. Nobody has used those kind of words in a public place, and certainly not by a nun. Okay, so nun is a kind of a holy person, so they will never say such abusive words in public. She was really angry, and she started to abuse him on the flight, on the aeroplane. It was really, comedy situation for the author. But he's saying that no, it was a horror situation for me. This, however, was not my worst experience on a plane flight. So, when we were thinking that it might be the most worst experience for the author on a plane, but he's saying no, this is not a worst experience. I have even bad experiences, no, than this one. I have something more worse than this experience. So students, are you excited to know what can go more worse than this? Yes? Okay, so we will know about it in the next class of the same chapter. Okay, we will do a part 2. So I hope all of you have understood the chapter by far. How the author was always creating disasters when he used to travel. He used to meet accidents, he used to do something which used to make the situation go wrong. And he also does not know how that happened with him. Okay, before we end the class, let me ask you some questions. The first question is, why did the author have to return to a hotel desk frequently? So, I told you in the very beginning that he was easily confused person, right? I hope all of you know the answer. The answer is, the author was a confused person. He used to forget things frequently. While staying in a hotel, he used to forget his room number. He had to return to the hotel desk frequently to ask what his room number was. Yes, all of you have guessed correctly. Okay, the second question. What did the author want to get out of his carry bag at the London airport? So, any one of you remember? He wanted to take out his, yes, very good, frequent flyer program card. The author had joined British Airways frequent flyer program. On reaching London with his family, he remembered that he had put the card in his carry bag. He wanted to take it out of the bag to avail the discount. Third question. What were the things that rained out of his bag at the airport? When the author tried to open his bag, the zip got jammed. He pulled it harder and harder. It broke and the bag opened abruptly. It had newspaper cuttings, tin of pipe tobacco, magazine, passport, English money, films, etc., which rained out of the bag. Okay, next question. Why did the lady in the plane look at the author with a stupefied expression? Being absent-minded, the author knocked a soft drink onto the lap of a sweet lady sitting beside him. She ignored it as an accident and said nothing. But when the same incident was repeated twice, she looked at the author with a stupefied expression. So, this is it. These are the only questions that I wanted to ask. I hope that you are all excited to know what happens in the next part of the story. So, we will meet soon in the next part. Bye and take care.